Complete the sentences below. Write no more than one word for each answer.
Hi, I'm Andy Wong. Last Sunday, my father took us to Kowloon Park. We went there by bus. The park was very large. There were football fields, basketball fields and a swimming pool. My brothers, Bobby and Ben, played football with me. My younger sisters May and Yuki went swimming. They fell asleep on the way home. Father read a newspaper under a tree. Sometimes he played with us. Mother sat on a bench looking after my baby sister, Lily. We had a happy time there.
Decide whether the statements below are true or false. My working day starts very early. From Monday to Friday, I get up at 3:30 and I have a shower and a cup of coffee. I usually leave the house at 4:10 because the bus always arrives a few minutes early. I get to the studio at about 5 o'clock and start work. My program, Good Morning Hong Kong, starts at 7 o'clock and finishes at 9 o'clock. Then I leave the studio at 10:15. After that, I go shopping and visit some friends. I get home at 3 o'clock. A woman helps me with the housework and the ironing. I read a newspaper and do some work. Then my husband gets home at 5:30 in the evening and I cook dinner. We stay at home in the evening. We don't go out because I go to bed very early. We usually watch television and then I go to bed at 8:30. Complete the sentences below. Write no more than 3 words for each answer.
Recipe of banana oatmeal biscuits. Ingredients: makes about 16 biscuits. First, 2 ripe bananas. Next, 2 cups of quick cooking oats. Last, 1/2 cup of raisins. You can also use chocolate chips, nuts or other dried fruits. Method: Step 1. Preheat oven to 177 degrees Celsius. Step 2. Blend the oats in the blender. It's alright if they are not perfectly blended. Step 3. In a large bowl, combine the bananas, oats and raisins, and mash until smooth. Step 4. Drop lumps of dough onto a biscuit sheet, and flatten a bit using a large tablespoon. Step 5. Bake for 9 to 12 minutes or until the biscuits are set. Step 6. Remove from the oven, and cool on a wire rack.
Answer the questions below.
Once upon a time, there was a young man called Billy. One day, his mother asked him to find a job. On the first day, he worked for a shoemaker. The shoemaker paid Billy some coins. Billy held them in his hand and walked home. On his way home, he met his neighbor. When he was waving at him, the coins fell out and rolled away. On the second day, he worked for a farmer. The farmer gave him a jug of porridge. He poured the porridge into his pocket. When he was walking home, the porridge ran all the way down his trousers. On the third day, he worked for a butcher. The butcher gave him a small goat. Billy put the goat on his shoulder. The goat jumped down and got away. On the fourth day, He worked for a baker. The baker gave him a long loaf of bread. He tied a string to it and carried it home. Some street dogs smelt the bread, chased it and ate it. The next day, he worked for a fisherman. The fisherman paid him a fish. However, he did not take the fish home. He was happy that day because he thought he was cleverer this time.
Choose the correct letter, A, B or C.
It is now 60 years since that classic science fiction film. Future scene. It was set 60 years in the future, in 2018 to be precise. So, what did the filmmakers get wrong about 2018 and what did they get right? Making correct predictions must be devilishly difficult, and it's true to say they get most things wrong. Remember the opening scene with everyone flying around in cars? They couldn't have been more off base with that one. Then there was the assumption that work was a thing of the past, something only abnormal people did. Money was freely available, so why did people work? It was never really made clear how everything was made, but there was an overabundance of robots in the film. They never explained who designed or made the robots. The robots seemed to have taken over all the service industries. All waiters were robots, although we never saw inside the kitchens, so we don't know who was preparing the food. Bank tellers were all robots, yet ATMs, which are very common nowadays, were nowhere to be seen. People lined up inside the bank, filled out a form and gave it to the robot who handed over the money, and banks were open from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Too bad if you needed cash at some other time. There were no mobile devices, even though they did have video phones, in phone booths like those in existence when the film was made, and in homes the screens were attached to landline phones. All the homes we saw in the film had TVs, but do you recall how bulky they were? Not a flat screen in sight, although the TVs did have an interesting function that has not come to pass. All political decisions were made by plebiscite. Each TV had two pleb buttons, one for yes, one for no. These plebiscites happened frequently throughout the film, but did you see anyone using a remote control to vote, or to turn the TV on or off, or to change channels? Not once. And were the TVs color or black and white? Unfortunately, we don't know because the film itself was in black and white. One thing they got right to a certain extent was the end of print newspaper. In the film, print newspapers are a thing of the past. They are delivered via the TV, but as there are no mobile devices, the only way to read them was to sit in your favorite armchair, turn the TV on and scroll down with the scroll button. It all looked rather uncomfortable. Too bad if you wanted to sit in the garden and catch up with your news or take it with you on the bus, assuming there were buses. I don't recall seeing any, or any other form of public transport, apart from the spaceships that took you to the moon, 2-week holidays on the moon being quite popular. If I had to choose just one thing from the film that would really make our life better, it would be the chute. Everyone and all your rubbish went down it and it simply disappeared. No recycling, no landfills, everything is just gone.
Complete the sentences below. Write no more than 3 words for each answer. Public transport in Hong Kong is efficient and extensive. It reaches almost every corner of the city and its service is available around the clock. What kind of public transport do you like to use? Do you travel by something that goes fast, so that you can reach your destination quickly, or do you travel by something that goes slowly, so that you can take a break in the midst of your busy day? If types of transport had feelings, trams would probably feel inferior. They do not reach as many places as buses or the MTR. Worse, they are extremely slow. They are probably the slowest means of transport in Hong Kong. However, it does not mean that they are not popular. Every morning, there are long queues at tram stations and each tram is packed with passengers. Different from other types of public transport, trams are exceedingly steady. One can read comfortably while traveling. They also allow passengers to breathe some fresh air before entering their air-conditioned classrooms or offices. Trams were the first type of public transport in Hong Kong and have served the city for over a century. When trams started their services in 1904, they traveled along the original shoreline of Hong Kong Island, from Kennedy Town to Causeway Bay, and later to Shore, Key, One. Of course, with land reclamation over the years, they now run in the urban jungle of buildings and roads. At the beginning, passengers paid 10 cents to get on the first-class tramcars, and 5 cents to get on the third-class tramcars. Now, everybody pays $2.60 to get on the same tramcars. Children and senior citizens can even enjoy a lower fare, affectionately known as ding-ding. Because of the sound of their bells, the trams were once in danger of being replaced by the MTR's then New Island Line in the late 1970s. Yet, a survey showed that the public was extremely fond of this transport and that they preferred to keep it. Owned by Veolia Transport China Limited since April 2010, it is now the world's largest fleet of double-deck tramcars still in operation. It is one of the city's most endearing icons because of its heritage and sentimental value. Companies also like to advertise their products on the slow-moving cars. Next time when you travel on tram, take the chance to enjoy the scenery outside. You will be entirely captivated by what you see and hardly notice how slowly the tram actually moves.